Hello Internet, my name is Bobo. My Adventures with Superman just came back and so far it's great. The first 2 episodes were really good. I hope they make Lois jumping off of something a seasonal tradition. But none of that is relevant, as right now I'm at Toys R Us waiting for the midnight launch of the new Toyline. It's been closed for 5 years and there are no toys. What am I gonna do for the rest of this video? Toylines! You'll like them, right? Waves of 6 to 8 figures with a bunch of playsets to go along with them and a full animated series that ran for 5 months that felt like forever. It's a thing we still get, right? Right? As time goes on, it seems like this model becomes less and less common. It's kind of a miracle Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom got a Toyline, so did it do well? Probably not. And when companies don't give us what we want, it's up to us fans to think of it for them. Now actually doing it? Absolutely not. Here's my best attempt at making a toy. So to celebrate this new season of My Adventures with Superman, let's come up with a potential Toyline that might have happened in another universe. Now before we get started, let's set up some ground rules. I'm trying to keep this as grounded as possible, so no 20-point of articulation McFarlane style toys for $10. I want to follow the style of the current mainline 4-inch Justice League, Batman, and movie toys made by Spin Master. So around 6 figures per wave, 1 big thing, and maybe some extras like multi-packs or exclusive repaints. And let's do 3 waves in total. But if we want to do a quick what-if scenario for McFarlane-style toys, we'd probably get Superman and Parasite, maybe Lois if we're lucky, but that's it. I just don't see him doing anything beyond Superman plus a villain for him to fight. Honestly, he'd probably find a way to squeeze Batman in there somehow. Maybe here's what Batman would look like in this art style. I wouldn't be against that, but let's get to the real waves of figures. Superman, Lois Lane, Livewire, Heatwave, Silver Banshee, and Parasite basic form. For this first wave, I wanted something simple, just Superman and some villains for him to fight. And Lois to start the friendship trio. Superman and Lois are their basic outfits, you gotta get those out first. For accessories, you could give Superman a blast effect that goes over his eyes for heat vision and a piece of kryptonite. Why kryptonite? Because it'll be important eventually, and it's easy reuse from the Flash Supergirl. And for Lois, you could give her a recorder. I chose these 4 villains because they show up early in the show, so it makes sense for the first wave. Livewire and Heatwave I do think would be on the more bland side, but you could include some electric effects from the Flash figure again, in blue. With Heatwave, just give her a spring-loaded blaster with a red missile. It's not accurate, but toy lines like this always take liberties with accuracy to include play features. Silver Banshee and Parasite would have the same play feature of a removable helmet. But Parasite will be based on his purple look from his first fight with Superman, which is why this would be the basic form. As the first wave, I think this would be pretty solid. Nothing too amazing, but gets enough characters out there to give you a taste of what's to come. It also leaves teams incomplete, meaning fans will be demanding Superman repaint, Jimmy Olsen, Mist, Roughhouse, Deathstroke, and Parasite Task Force X version. This Superman will be a repaint of the previous mold but without the red shorts to match the first time he got a suit. Next we'd have Jimmy Olsen with his accessory being his camera. Mist would have a removable face mask for his gimmick and include a reused spring-loaded blaster from Heatwave, but this time in blue meant to represent the ice beam. Roughhouse would have his gauntlets with those being removable, and Deathstroke would be based on his earlier appearance without the scarred eye and have 2 batons with some blue paint to give off that lightning effect. Lastly is Parasite. He would be repainted in black for his Task Force X look. And with this wave, you've got all of Intergang, and with Slade plus Parasite in black, you'd have all of Task Force X. It gives you roughly everyone you'd want. You'd have the main trio plus all the villains. I think this would be a solid wave, but there are still some versions of characters left out. And with Parasite being in his Task Force X suit, you probably want the rest of the team in those outfits. Leading us to welcome to mostly repaints and retools. A repack of Wave 1 Superman, Jor-El, Deathstroke, Livewire, Silver Banshee, and Roughhouse all in their Task Force X suits. Superman would just be an easy repack, with Jor-El being an easy retool of Superman. Deathstroke would be a new mold with his 2 swords. Silver Banshee and Livewire would share some parts since their outfits are pretty similar. Roughhouse would be a repaint of Wave 1 Heatwave, but with a new head. This would be a light wave that would mostly be there to finish what hasn't been made yet, but done in a very cheap way. You are getting the figures, but it's clear that corners were cut to get there. So pretty realistic in my opinion. This wouldn't be a bad wave by any means, just very clearly limited since by this point the season would likely be long over. Now this wouldn't be a toy line without something big and some extras. Now Superman doesn't have any vehicles, but Parasite Final Form based on the 9th episode would make for a good big toy. Especially since he felt like the mid-level boss of that series. He fits the mold of giant toy for Superman to punch. Now for some extras that don't really fit into any specific wave, just some fun stuff that they'd likely also release. Spin Master has started doing these first edition releases with figures, and they tried doing that here. All that would change is they put first edition on the box. There would likely also be a few multi-packs released, so let's start with an obvious one. This is what I'd call the world's finest 2-pack with Superman and Batman. Now I know what you're saying, but Batman isn't in the show, this is just Superman, and you'd be correct. But this is a DC toy line. You'd be lucky if they didn't put Batman in Wave 2 even if he's not actually in the show. Okay, jokes aside, I do feel like Spin Master would release a 2-pack with Batman and Superman, but just as a toy. It would be this show's version of Superman, and whatever standard Batman is currently out. Even if it wouldn't be accurate to anything, I still think it would be pretty cool, just as a toy. Now for an actually on-topic multi-pack, the Task Force X 6-pack. It would be all 4 Task Force X figures plus Deathstroke to be more show accurate. Now if you've been paying attention, you may have noticed that Mist didn't get a Task Force X version, and that's because he didn't really get one in the show. So who would the last figure be? This would be an exclusive Amanda Waller figure. Would it suck that they would make us rebuy all these other figures just for one? Yes, and they totally do that. Also yes to it likely being clearanced out, so you'd still have a pretty easy time getting Waller. The last multi-pack I'll talk about is what I think is a pretty fun one. There is one villain I haven't talked about, and that was Mixius Spittling. He'd get a figure too, but it would only be available in a 2-pack with a classic JLU/Superman the Animated Series style retro figure based on that one scene he was in. It's an easy way to get a fun fan servicey toy out there, but still be on brand with the show and character. The only downside is it would likely be some kind of exclusive to Walmart or something, but if you don't like that idea, this could easily just be a legal Lois repaint of some kind, and it would still work. Except now, that's exclusive to Target. Okay, that's enough multi-packs. Now before we look back at the storyline as a whole, I want to take a quick second to add some more realistic elements to it. Such as, Lois will be short-packed in Wave 1. Wave 2 will have shipping delays. The Task Force X 6-pack will release 2 months early, spoiling their appearance. Some kid will swallow the blast effect that came with Heatwave. Parasite Final Form will have a ton of QC issues. The world's finest 2-pack will make people believe Batman shows up in the show. He never does, but there is a diehard subsection believing he'll show up in Season 2. There we go, now that's a toy line. Do I think I did the best job here? No, not really. There's probably more you could do to spice it up a bit, but I think what we have here is pretty good. Though after putting this together, I get why this show didn't get a toy line. It's not the most toy-focused show. The most they could do is sell us some action figures with some accessories. It's not like kids these days will run out and buy the Daily Planet playset. I'm just glad the show is focused on being good, versus selling us a Superman bike that'll use once and never again. This show didn't need a toy line to be great, and who knows, maybe in another timeline this toy line sucked and killed the Hey you, it's me, from another timeline. I'm here to tell you that the My Adventures with Superman toy line was excellent and a massive hit. It was so good that I wanted to know what other universes got. What'd you get?